subconscious behaviors that are keeping you from having the life you want. Every generation has a monoculture of sorts, a governing pattern or system of beliefs that people unconsciously accept as truth. In those places, accepted to be good and true even when in reality, that was certainly not always the case. The objectivity required to see the effects of present monoculture is very difficult to develop. Once you have so deeply accepted an idea as truth, it doesn't register as cultural or subjective anymore. So much of our inner turmoil is the result of conducting a life we don't inherently desire, only because we have accepted an inner narrative of normal and ideal without ever realizing the fundamentals of any given monoculture tend to surround what we should be living for: nation, religion, self, etc. And there are a number of ways in which our current system has us shooting ourselves in the feet as we try to step forward. Here, 8 of the most pervasive. 1. You believe that creating your best life is a matter of deciding what you want and then going after it, but in reality, you are psychologically incapable of being able to predict what will make you happy. Your brain can only perceive what it's known. So when you choose what you want for the future, you're actually just recreating a solution or an ideal of the past. When things don't work out the way you want them to, you think you failed only because you didn't recreate something you perceived as desirable. In reality, you likely created something better, but foreign, and your brain misinterpreted it as bad because of that. Moral of the story: living in the moment isn't a lofty ideal reserved for the Zen and enlightened. It's the only way to live a life that isn't infiltrated with illusions. It's the only thing your brain can actually comprehend. 2. You extrapolate the present moment because you believe that success is somewhere you arrive, so you are constantly trying to take a snapshot of your life and see if you can be happy yet. You convince yourself that any given moment is representative of your life as a whole. Life as a whole, because we're wired to believe that success is somewhere we get to. Life as a whole, because we're wired to believe that success is when goals are accomplished and things are completed. We're constantly measuring our present moments by how finished they are, how good the story sounds, how someone else would judge the elevator speech. We find ourselves thinking, is this all there is? Because we forget that everything is transitory, and no one single instance can summarize the whole. There is nowhere to arrive to. The only thing you're rushing toward is death. Accomplishing goals is not success. How much you expand in the process is. 3. You assume that when it comes to following your gut instincts, happiness is good and fear and pain are bad. When you consider doing something that you truly love and are invested in, you are going to feel an influx of fear and pain, mostly because it will involve being vulnerable. Bad feelings should not always be interpreted as deterrents. They are also indicators that you are doing something frightening and worthwhile. Not wanting to do something would make you feel indifferent about it. Fear equals interest. 4. You needlessly create problems and crises in your life because you're afraid of actually living it. The pattern of unnecessarily creating crises in your life is actually an avoidance technique. It distracts you from actually having to be vulnerable or held accountable for whatever it is you're afraid of. You're never upset for the reason you think you are. At the core of your desire to create a problem is simply the fear of being who you are and living the life you want. 5. They know that happiness is a choice, but they don't feel the need to make it all the time. They are not stuck in the illusion that happiness is a sustained state of joy. They allow themselves time to process everything they are experiencing. They allow themselves to exist in their natural state. In that non-resistance, they find contentment. 6. They don't allow their thoughts to be chosen for them. They recognize that through social conditioning and the eternal human monkey mind, they can often be swayed by thoughts, beliefs, and mindsets that were never theirs in the first place. To combat this, they take inventory of their beliefs, reflect on their origins, and decide whether or not that frame of reference truly serves them. 7. They recognize that infallible composure is not emotional intelligence. They don't withhold their feelings or try to temper them so much as to render them almost gone. They do, however, have the capacity to withhold their emotional response until they are in an environment wherein it would be appropriate to express how they are feeling. They don't suppress it, they manage it effectively. 8. They know that a feeling will not kill them. They've developed enough stamina and awareness to know that all things, even the worst, are transitory. 9. They don't just become close friends with anyone. They recognize true trust and intimacy as something you build, and something you want to be discerning with whom you share. But they are not guarded or closed, as they are simply mindful and aware of who they allow into their lives and hearts. They are kind to all, but truly open to few. 10. They don't confuse a bad feeling for a bad life. They are aware of and avoid extrapolation, which is essentially projecting the present moment into the foreseeable future. Believing that the moment at hand constitutes what your entire life amounted to, rather than just being another passing, transitory experience in the whole. Emotionally intelligent people allow themselves their bad days. They let themselves be fully human. It's in this non-resistance that they find the most peace of all.